Okay, right. Right, so a few people kept nagging me, worrying about my device at 6, 7, 8,000 RPM. They talk, basically saying, if that flies apart, you could lose an eyeball. Anyway, I was trying to think of a way of doing this and sorting it out. So, I mean, I've got a guard. I mean, there's the magnets and there's the green bracing brackets, and then there's the coils, and then there's the chassis thing and everything. There's all this stuff in the way to stop anything flying out and hitting me. But I was thinking about a way to reduce the air friction as well. And what I did was, I stuck a ruler. It was the vacant slot. It was this side, but there was no bobbins in. So I stuck a ruler, a plastic ruler, in this slot at an angle, at 45, at an angle down this angle sort of thing. And what I observed when I did that was that the air that was spinning around on the outside of the drum was shunted away from the drum, and as a result I was creating a partial vacuum around the drum, because if you notice, the drum is close up to the end bracket, the end covers of the chassis, which means that it can't replenish any air. So what's happening is, as the drum is spinning around, any air that's travelling around the drum is basically pulled away from it by the plastic ruler. That creates a partial vacuum, and the drum assembly goes faster. Now, in order for it to replenish airflow, the air's got to come from the centre. Well, it can't get air from the centre because the ends are covered by the chassis, the actual end brackets, the end stands, right? So what I've done, because that is not the drum you're looking at there, that red thing is not the drum. I'll just open this up, we'll hide that. What I've actually done is created a liner, right? This red thing here is 6mm thick, right? From measuring from there to there is 6mm. So it's a thick wall, and as the drum it's on the inside is spinning, I want to vent the air out so that it creates a vacuum inside there. So what I've done is I've created these slots in this protective guard underneath. So the slots will be at the very bottom. That's going to be the weakest point of my guard, because if anything does fly off, due to the forces of gravity, I don't think I've ever observed this, but when something flies apart, it usually flies apart in a downward fashion because gravity assists it it's actually heavier at the bottom than it is at the top, because when something, what have I just done? When something is flying in a spiral really fast, the heaviest point, the greatest forces are at the bottom, because you've got gravity assisting it as well. So if it's going to fly apart, it will usually fly apart at the bottom, and that's why you usually see things hit the table and bounce up in the air and hit the ceiling. So I've got my protective drum, which is not moving, and it's going to be stuck to these end stands at each end. So this actual drum, this cover, is not moving, it's stationary. The only thing that's moving is the drum inside, which is purple, right? So that is spinning, say, 6,000 RPM, right? So if that was to fly apart, which I don't think it will, but if it was to fly apart, there's a 5mm gap between the actual rotor drum, this thing here. There's a 5mm gap between there. Oh, actually, I've got it right. Let me just see. Oh, it's 3.2mm. What the hell? oh, I don't know what's happened there. I thought it was originally 5mm. I must have adjusted the size a bit. But anyway, 3.2mm. Now, when something breaks away, it has to gain inertial velocity, right? It has to gain inertial velocity to actually do the damage. Because the gap between the actual rotary drum and the protecting drum on the inside is so small, it won't gain much inertial velocity in an outward direction because of the small gap. Because as soon as if it breaks free, if a magnet was to break free, for example, it would immediately encounter this barrier which would break its fall, if you like. It would basically, all of the forces would be absorbed by the flexibility, the flexing of this tube. Because the tube would bend. It would definitely bend. It would act like a giant shock absorber, right? So a magnet flying out would hit that, and so what would happen would be, it would probably embed itself in the plastic shield. It would break its fall or break its inertia, whatever you want to call it. Any inertia it gained, it would break that, and then it would encounter something else, like probably my magnet coils, which are solid copper wire on them, the ferrite cores, or if it didn't go in that direction, if it went in this direction, it would encounter the edge of this plastic. Basically, there's stuff all the way around, and the surface area of this tube would probably be right in front of the object that's pushing it through, so that would also be caught by the bracing bracket. So, I mean, the chances of anything getting out of there is very small. So I'm really not worried about anything flying and hitting me in the face, because the way that I've designed it now, it's virtually bulletproof. Well, I wouldn't say bulletproof, but yeah, you know what I mean. I've designed it so that the chances of me getting hit by any debris is virtually nil right now with this new design. So I wish people would stop fretting and worrying about it. I'm just reading the chat. Don't see anything live. What? Oh, he's watching. Sorry, it must have taken a while to come up. I don't know what's going on there. Let's just check this. My streaming should be there. Oh, I didn't put my throttle up. That's probably why. Hang on. That should improve things a bit. Right, okay, I've just boosted that. Okay, that should be a bit better. So anyway, as I was saying, I've basically got 2 or 3 layers of protection there, because there's all of this bracing bracket around here, and then there's my ferrite cores, and then there's my copper coils. So, I mean, as I said, anyway, I hope you got everything I was saying, but basically, if a magnet was to break free from the drum, which is not likely really because of the way I've made them, and I've annealed them with acetone to bond the 3D printed fibres together, and they were really, really strong actually. In fact, if I stuck that thing in a vice, I'd have a hard job. If I stuck it in a vice and tried to crush it, I'd have a hell of a job. I've injected ABS melted plastic with acetone. I made the glue, and I've injected the ends down these where the magnets are, so that there's solid plastic down the ends where the magnets are, so that actually binds to both the edge and the inside of the drum, so that also forms a solid plastic cap. And as it dries out, it's actually a lot harder than the original 3D print, so it acts as end grabbers. It just basically locks everything together, so it's really, really solid. In fact, I'd have a job getting it out there. If I decided to take these magnets out at some point, I'd have to use a soldering iron to melt the plastic that I stuck in there to get it out, or I'd have to use some kind of really sharp knife or drill it out or something to get the magnets out. I'd have a job. Yeah. And there's also steel shims, about 0.3mm battery tabbing that goes down these slots, and that's to basically help to a transitional point for the flux, but it also attracts the magnets as well, because it's steel. The magnets are pulled inwards. They tend to want to stay hugged together, because, as you know, if you put a piece of steel between two opposing magnets, they will hug. They will want to stay together. So anyway, but these are actually north on this side and south on over here. So that steel also helps to keep the magnets to hug each other, you know, it keeps everything locked in together. And because these magnets are all coming into a central steel drive shaft in the middle, they're also pulling towards the drive shaft. So there's a lot of inertial cancellation from the magnetic field pulling itself towards the middle of the drive shaft. Because there are magnets in these slots down here as well, and they're extremely close to the drive shaft. So yeah, anyway, as I say, I'm not worried about this thing flying apart. I'm more interested in any air that's spinning in an anti-clockwise direction, because these vents are angled so that any air that's spinning around on that drum will exit through there, so it will reduce the air friction and the drum will actually run a bit faster. And as it runs a bit faster, my protection is there, so I'm not worried. Yeah? I wish everyone else had stopped nagging me. Anyway, so, and if you're not happy, I'll put the thing inside a steel box and put bricks around it, and then maybe you'll stop nagging me. Well, anyway, that's basically it. So, yeah. I'm still printing the protective shields at the moment. I've got another 2 of these blue brackets to print, and I've also got all of these green strut things, stabilizer struts. I've got about I've got 16 of them to print before I can assemble this new build. So yeah, it's going to be probably a couple of days or 3 days before I have to get this thing put together. I didn't put any guide pins on this drum, but I'm not worried, because when the let's go back. When this end cover is on, I can measure that distance. I can basically stick it on there. I'm just going to super glue it onto the end covers so that it's lined up. It'll be fine, because I'm not going to build this one as long as this. Actually, it's going to be 2 stages. It's going to be 2 stages really instead of 4, because I'm using a bit of drive shaft to cut off one of the others, which is not very long. So it's only really long enough for 2 stages on there. But I'll be able to get 8 coils on it, which is enough for doing testing anyway. It's enough for doing tests on. So, and because it's a lot shorter, it'll be more stable as well. So really, that's all there is to update you on at the moment. And there's a close-up of my shield on the inside. You can see that's it's an actual clone of the original that's in there. You can see I've got the vents at the bottom, and I'm going to be acetone treating that as well to make it really solid. On the outside skins, but the inside will be a little bit spongy, so it'll act as a bit of a spring, and it won't be so brittle, and it will act as a shock absorber, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's going to be fine. Oh well, that's it for now. Update over.